Hello again, everybody. I am really excited to finish this story about the Fantastic Four and the Submariner and Attuma, the Scourge of Atlantis. Remember, when we last were telling this story, the Fantastic Four had just arrived and were ready to defend Submariner against Attuma. But Submariner does not know about the assistance that the Fantastic Four are bringing him. And so he thinks he's fighting alone with his troops against the mighty hordes of Attuma. Let's see how Submariner is doing in his fight. All right, here he is, and he's watching as disaster befalls his palace, a short distance away from where the Fantastic Four are fighting. Prince Namor continues to make a last-ditch defense of his beloved undersea empire, and he sees a hydro-powered battering ram breaking through our inner walls. Disaster is about to happen. He says, "We are outnumbered. We have suffered betrayal. But so long as the Submariner lives, we shall never be outfought." And so he leaps into action and he strikes the battering ram. He says, "I strike for Atlantis." Crack. He's so powerful. Fighting like a creature possessed, smashing, crashing, pounding, hurling his attackers from him like an undersea dreadnought. The superpowered Submariner carries the battle once again to the dazed and battered enemy. Look at him. He strikes and pushes the battering ram back into Attuma's hordes. He says, "Back, you sea vermin, back to the murky depths from whence you came, back at the command of Namor." One of Attuma's soldiers says, "My people frighten disobedient children with tales of Namor's terrible strength and awesome wrath. But never did I believe such tales to be true. Never until now." Well, you better believe it. Oh my, look at how Submariner is fighting back. His Submariner's troops say, "Sire, our weapons will soon be empty, while Attuma has arms without limit." "Keep firing," says Submariner, "and when you can fire no more, we shall still fight on. With clubs, rocks, bare fists, we'll fight to the death." And so the ray guns go on as long as they can. Meanwhile, what of Attuma himself? He realizes that any other foe would have long since surrendered. Namor must be driven to his knees. Look at Attuma with his battle helmet, and his general says, "You shall triumph, mighty Attuma. It is your destiny." Well, we'll see about that. Attuma says, "No man can fight what he cannot see. Unleash the globules of darkness upon him." Attuma so commands. What is this next weapon? Within seconds, Namor asks, "Is there no limit to the weapons at Attuma's disposal? What can be the purpose of these strangely ominous floating globes?" These globes are continuing to pour forth, and within seconds, the fighting monarch of Atlantis gets his answer as the mysterious globules dissolve into blinding pockets of murky fluid. He says, "I'm being blinded. Everything is growing dark, hazy. I cannot see." As the globules of darkness spread throughout the area, Namor's loyal little band of warriors trip over each other in blind confusion, unable to recognize friend from foe, unable to fight. One of them says, "Until the darkness clears, we are helpless." Another says, "None but Namor can save us now." And none but Namor can fight back, for only Namor with his wondrous winged feet can leap above the gathering darkness. He says, "For too long have I been content to fight a defensive battle. Now, when things look the most hopeless, I must change my tactics. Now, when he least expects it, I shall carry the battle to Attuma." Okay, watch out, Attuma. At that very moment, accompanied by the Lady Dorma, the fabulous Fantastic Four approached the scene, entering a battle not of their making, on a strangely alien battleground against a foe whose powers they can barely imagine. Reed says, "Judging by the wreckage, we're nearing the main battle site." And Sue says, "Before we go any further, let me turn invisible and see what lies ahead." Reed says, "Be careful, Sue. Not only must we fear Attuma, but even Namor may treat us as enemies. Wouldn't that be ironic?" But here comes Sue, invisible, spying out what is ahead. And one of Attuma's soldiers says, "Behold, the Submariner appears. He is challenging Attuma to a hand-to-hand duel, just as Attuma guessed he would. Is the trap ready?" The other one says, "Of course. Once the battle between them begins, I'll aim these subsonic sound waves at Namor. Their power will drain his strength, making him an easy victim for Attuma." Oh no, what a sneaky trick. But Sue is aware of it. She says Namor is too honorable, too much the true warrior, to suspect such a cruel trap. I've got to help him, but how? And look, the two enemies face off against each other. Attuma says, "Atlantis shall be mine. It is my destiny." Submariner says, "Never, never. Only Namor is truly Prince of the Blood." And so the Invisible Girl sneaks up behind the two soldiers. "I've only one chance. If I can make my invisible force field surround both of them and their sound wave machine, I'm doing it. I think it's going to work." And so look, she has her force field around the weapon. Not suspecting the encirclement of Sue Storm's invisible force field, the two lieutenants of Attuma activate their strange machine. But the sound waves cannot penetrate the powerful, unseen barrier. And Sue realizes it happened as I hoped. The sound wave energy hit my force screen and bounced back, blowing up the machine and harming the soldiers at the same time, so they're all taken out of commission. Seconds later, Dorma asks, "What of my prince? Does he still live?" Sue says, "Yes, Dorma, we're just in time. He's fighting Attuma hand to hand, but the invaders have set traps for him, which Namor doesn't suspect." Johnny asks, "Then what's our next move?" Reed says, "We've got to fan out, cover as much territory as possible. Without Namor seeing us, we must save him from Attuma's traps, making sure he can fight a fair fight." So back to the duel. Attuma, with his mighty trident, says, "For centuries the legends of Atlantis have predicted the coming of a conqueror. Know you, Namor, that Attuma is that conqueror?" Submariner says, "The legends are true, but your tongue is false. It is Namor of whom the legends tell." And so Attuma takes a mighty swing, but he misses. Attuma says, "Bah, you have grown weak and soft. You are not the warrior Attuma is." Submariner tackles him. He says, "I'll drive that lie back into your throat, barbarian. Here in the depths there is none as powerful as Namor." And Namor grips his wrist. Attuma thinks to himself, "He wears no armor, carries no weapon, yet he fights like 1,000 furies. But he cannot triumph. My next trap will finish him." What trap is that? Even as that thought crosses Attuma's scheming brain, his second trap is made ready. Look at that large yellow machine. Attuma's soldier says, Namor is within our sights. Prepare to fire. Not even his strength can survive our ionic ray. But one other soldier with his hand on the lever says, my captain, someone approaches. Well, it's not just someone, it's the mighty Thing. He says, truer words were never spoken, sweetie, and now that I'm here, I'll rip your oversized tinker toy apart before someone stubs his little toesy against it. Well, we wouldn't want to stub a toesy, would we? But scrunch. The Thing just tears up that ionic ray, making it helpless. Then he goes on, seeing how you big bad soldier boys are all wet behind the ears, I'll let you cool off in this nice dry little cave. And so he stuffs them into a cave. They say, he traps us within by rolling that boulder as though it is weightless. What manner of undersea demon is he? Thing says, who's a demon, bub? I'm my dear old Aunt Petunia's little nephew, Benjamin. But Attuma has still more traps ready for any eventuality. Here's another weapon, and his soldiers say, quick, ensnare the unsuspecting submariner with a noose of unbreakable titanium wire. The fellow says, I'll fire as soon as Attuma breaks away, Commander. Doesn't want to shoot it too soon or he'll trap them both together. But here comes Mr. Fantastic. A fellow says, now there is your chance. But someone, as he shoots it off, someone says, but what miracle is this? Some strange form has descended, catching the wire with its own ever-changing shape. Why did Attuma never warn us that Namor had such fantastic allies? See, Mr. Fantastic stretches out his body, and it absorbs the impact of the titanium cable. And so then he flips it over on him. Reed thinks, now that I've saved the sea prince from this indestructible wire, I'll flip my body over, tangling Attuma's men with their own weapon. One of them says, there is sinister magic at work here. Namor is in league with the shadowy ones. Despair not, says another. Our 4th platoon is about to destroy all of Atlantis with a nuclear dissolvo bomb. Wow, that's a mouthful. But before the fateful plunger can be depressed, here comes the Human Torch. He says, sorry boys, all demolition work around here will be handled by an expert from now on, namely the Human Torch. And so he shoots his fire underneath the surface, and it comes up and destroys the bomb. He thinks, I don't know what that plunger would have done, but it doesn't matter now. I fried it into ashes. And so 4 of Attuma's traps have been destroyed. However, a split second later, the youthful Torch is the first to become aware of a desperate dilemma. He realizes, my flame is growing weaker. It's getting harder to breathe. Reed's oxo spray must be wearing off. If we don't get back to the surface fast, we'll all be kaput. And we don't want to be kaput. But he asks, how can we desert Namor now? Meanwhile, being a few years older, the other 3 costumed adventurers can function a few minutes longer. And so, here comes the Invisible Girl. She says how magnificently Namor battles. He's like a gladiator of old, fearless, powerful, capable of anything. And Attuma is saying, no one that lives can long evade my mighty battle sword. So they're struggling and fighting with each other. What's going to happen? Namor says, your words have a hollow ring, Attuma. Battles are won with deeds, not empty speeches. And look, he flips Attuma over. Attuma says, wretched foe, my legions will destroy you yet. Namor says, "If that be the will of Neptune, I shall die like a warrior, but never by the shattered blade of cowardly Attuma." And look, he takes Attuma's battle sword and shatters it. And so Attuma resorts to his last weapon. He says, "You call me cowardly because I use weapons against your naked strength. But call me what you will. Victory will be mine, and it shall be now." Look what happens coming out of his helmet. And Namor realizes, so that's why you wore those appendages. They concealed twin disintegrator rays. But look at what Sue is doing. She realizes only invisibility can save him now. I must not fail him. And so she uses her power to turn Namor invisible. Sue has so many powers that she is bringing to bear in this battle. Her force field, her own invisibility, and now her ability to make Namor invisible. The born warrior, during the heat of battle, concentrates so intently on his foe that he is oblivious to all else. And so it is with Namor. And Attuma now cannot see Namor, and so he shoots blindly into empty space. Attuma says, "Where are you? Where did you vanish to?" Namor says, "Has he taken leave of his senses? He runs amok like one gone mad." But the sudden exertion has weakened the valiant invisible girl, and she is the next to feel the life-saving oxospray wearing off. She realizes, I can't seem to get enough air into my lungs. Everything is spinning before my eyes. But here comes Mr. Fantastic with his elastic arm. He hollers, "Sue, hold on, girl, hold on." And he reaches out to grab her, and he pulls her to him. Then the reaction strikes the two strongest members of the FF as Reed desperately realizes, oxospray only good for a few more seconds. No time to reach the bathysphere. Desperate measure needed. He says, "Ben, you and Johnny follow me. I'll help you to the surface." Ben says, "This is a heck of a time for follow the leader, Rubberhead, but I got nothing better to offer." And Reed realizes, "We can do no more down here. I'll stretch to the surface. Luckily, this is a shallow area. If it were deeper, we'd be doomed." Ben says, "It don't look to me like we're headed for a ripe old age now, chum." Reed says, "We'll make it, Ben. We've got to. Just do as I say." And so Ben anchors Reed's feet securely to the rocks below, and Reed stretches up as high as he can. He says, "Both of you, hold on to me. Pull yourselves up slowly. We can't move too fast or we'll get the bends." That's what happens when you go from deep water up to the surface. Your body can't handle the difference in the water pressure. And so Johnny says, "Well, don't just stand there, big buddy. Let's go." Ben says, "If that human rubber band snaps before he reaches the top, there'll be a hot time in Yancey Street tonight." Well, we hope not, because we want more stories, don't we? Johnny says, "Ben, do you think he'll make it?" "Sure, kid. You know what a tightwad he is. Our rent is paid up till next year, and he ain't about to waste any of it." No, I'm sure they're going to make it. Meanwhile, as the desperate Mr. Fantastic slowly reaches the surface, the battle raging below nears its inevitable climax as the invisible Namor reaches out and grabs Attuma's helmet. He says, "There, without these disintegrators attached to your head covering, nothing shall stop me from proving which of us is truly fit to rule Atlantis." Attuma says, "I'm still your master. I'll destroy you with my bare hands." And as Sue is slowly carried out of effective range, her invisibility power fades from the still unaware submariner, who, now that he's visible, strikes again. He says, "Fool, it is to Namor, the avenging sun, you speak. Namor, prince of the blood sovereign of the seven seas, and he strikes again. To rule is my heritage. No barbarian shall wrest from me my crown and scepter. And Attuma knows he's defeated. He says, enough, spare me. The battle is ended. I can endure no more. Speaking of no more, Namor says, you are not fit to be king. A true sovereign prefers death to surrender. But Attuma is not a true sovereign. He surrenders. He says, Submariner says, carry this cringing coward beyond the proud gates of Atlantis. He and all who dared serve him are banished forever from the golden realm. And Namor's soldiers say, hail, mighty prince. Namor's word is truly the spoken law. And look at Attuma. He's cringing at Submariner's feet. Then when the carnage of battle has been cleared, Namor says, I know how you betrayed me, Lady Dorma, but I forgive you, for I, above all others, am aware of the strange things one may do in the name of love. And so he forgives Dorma, who brings a pillow to cushion his weary head. And he says, I must rest, for my limbs are weary and my spirits weak. I pray that no enemy, such as the Fantastic Four, attacks us now, for surely they would prevail. Dorma realizes to herself, my love is still unaware of how he has been helped. Knowing his great pride, it is best he remains so. And so Namor will never realize that the Fantastic Four came to his aid in his fight against Attuma. Meanwhile, many fathoms above, we see that Reed has stretched himself into a tube. And Thing says, well, brush my teeth and call me Pearly. We made it. Johnny looks around and says, we're in luck. There's one of Uncle Sam's patrol boats. They see us. And Mr. Fantastic says, use me as a raft until they reach us. Sue says, Reed, my darling, you never fail us. Reed says, or he thinks to himself, she still calls me darling, even after seeing Namor again. Perhaps I am the one she truly loves. And Sue thinks, why is Namor so blind? When will he realize that Dorma was born to be his queen? Johnny says, hey, Benji boy, do you think you could take Subby in a fair fight? Thing says, you kidding, Junior? Just one clobber and I'd be Sweetums the First, king of the whole shebang. And so the editor closes with these words, a cloak of mystery and silence again enshrouds the undersea realm of Prince Namor, but he is destined once again to battle our fabulous foursome, and when he does, every vivid thrill will be found here within the pages of the world's greatest comic magazine. Well, that's right. I agree that that the Fantastic Four is the world's greatest comic magazine, and these are great stories. Well, what's the next story? Let's turn the page and see. Well, first, there's a Marvel Masterwork pinup. There's a picture of Prince Namor, the Submariner. He's Regal Namor the First, Prince of Atlantis, Emperor of the Deep, Lord of the Seven Seas, and Supreme Commander of the Undersea Legions. What a great tale this was, right? Instead of watching the Fantastic Four fight against the Submariner, they fought on his side. Well, what's next? Oh, wow, this is going to be a very unusual tale with a new villain. And the title of it is A House Divided, and the enemy's name is Gideon. What makes him the most powerful foe of all? Well, I can't wait to tell you all about it. All right, but until then, I'm going to go for now, and hope y'all are having a really good day. Love to everybody at your house. Bye-bye now.